Hello, and welcome to the very first B-Movie Euphoria's sequels from. First up is a film that was made way back in 1988, but wasn't released until 1997. So, you'd know it's gotta be good. And the film is The Gates of Hell 2. Dead Awakening. Back in the 90s and 80s, there were a lot of films that had sequels that really had nothing to do with the film, any of its characters. The cover itself is a ripoff of another VHS cover of Funeral Home. It's just I think they made the hand green and they just colored it. Either they just couldn't get funding for it or they couldn't sell it to anyone. And eventually someone bought it because somebody released it and somebody slapped on The Gates of Hell Part 2 Dead Awakening title to grab in, I don't know, Lucio Fulci fans. So his film was the first part of his 3-part Death trilogy, which included Gates of Hell, also known as City of the Living Dead. So Gates of Hell, The Beyond, and the last one was House by the Cemetery. These great films by Lucio Fulci, they have zombies, they have visions of hell, darkness, maggots, people puking their own guts out, priests hanging themselves. This movie has nothing to do with any of that. So first off, we're introduced to 2 women in power suits talking about what they're going to do and being very vague about what's going on. And one of them has a gun. So that's good, I guess, to protect herself, but I don't know what the hell's happening. And then next, we see 2 climbers climbing a mountain. One of the climbers finds what looks like a dead leg, and then something happens to him, but we don't see it. And then something happens to the other climber, and he falls off the cliff and, looks dead. We see a few creepy people sitting around a Ouija board, talking to each other and talking about dark things that, again, we don't know anything about because none of this makes sense yet. When you have someone come up to you and start talking to you about a subject that they think that you should know, or that's kind of like the beginning of this movie. That's exactly what it is. Later on, we see one of the ladies in power suits. She's now in the bar getting wasted, just getting completely fucked up. The bartender's like, "Alright, you had enough." She's like, "Go screw yourself." Oh. And so he calls a cop, and the cop shows up and somehow convinces her to get in the cop car, and he does the nice cop thing and drives her home instead of taking her to the drunk tank. After he helps her out from being drunk, she asks for his help in finding her sister. From then on, throughout the rest of the movie, he, instead of wearing his cop uniform, he has one of those like shoulder holsters that wraps around, and he's got the gun right in the armpit. He suddenly becomes a noir detective. He wears this gun strap belt thing. He really likes this thing. Either the actor really liked it or the director was like, "Oh yeah, wear it all the time. You're a detective now. You're not a cop anymore." So he wears it all the time, even when he doesn't have his shirt on. The 2 ladies in power suits from the beginning, they're sisters, and I guess her sister ended up becoming the corpse that the 2 climbers came on. Then back to like 3 or 4 shady guys in a room with a Ouija board table in front of them and talking about summoning. We summon the demon. Now what will we do with it? This sister was into occult shit. She started looking stuff up and then somehow ran into these 3 or 4 shady guys. I say 3 or 4 because everything's so badly lit in this movie that I have no idea how many people were in this dark room that had a big Ouija board in the middle. So somehow she got involved with these men. They sacrificed her somehow. They don't go into that. And for whatever reason, I'm guessing for wealth or just to see what would happen, this evil ragtag group of weirdos are now planning to kill the other sister because they find out that the other sister now has the amulet that was given to her by her dead sister before her sister died. The 1980 film, The Gates of Hell, had some really incredible music. It wasn't quite as good as The Beyond, but it was pretty damn good. This music sounds like that Halloween Spooky Sounds mixtape that you find for 99 cents. And creaky noises and creaky things. But that's another thing that I have to talk about. This movie was very cheap. It's clearly cheap, but you can... It's the little things that show you how cheap it is and how little thought went into the finer details. Whenever someone's walking around the room or sitting down on a chair or opening a door, there's creaks. There's so many creaks in this movie. It could have been called Creak. There's creaking when a door opens, when someone sits down in a chair. And they could have done something with it if they had noticed it in time before putting it out on video. But they could have been, you know, maybe there's something evil in all the creaking noises, but no, they squandered that. When you're trying to hear some dialogue and all of a sudden you hear a big loud creak from someone adjusting themselves on a couch, it's a little distracting. So like I said, the cop becomes a detective all of a sudden. He becomes a noir detective, actually, because wherever he goes, whoever he's questioning about, you know, occult happenings and what he thinks is going on, there's always these Venetian blind shadows on his face, and he doesn't really fit the bill because he's too, like, big and goofy to be a proper noir detective. A lot of terrible late 80s, early 90s fashions and furniture and just pictures of, you know, pots on walls. Maybe people still do that, but my God, what the hell kind of trend was that? Just pictures of pots with designs on the pots? Get a pot! Obviously we know the guy's climbing and the Power Suit Sisters' death were connected because we saw that little scene of something attacking the two mountain climbers and then seeing the dead leg, and we've put together the dots as best we can. But the characters don't know that. There's no scene showing us at any point that the characters know this. Anyway, somehow they know it. I'm just getting the feeling that if you're a really terrible movie, you have to end in a shootout. If you know that you're not doing too well throughout the movie, and you know it's not going so great, you can always pep it up at the very end with a big old gun shootout. This one is a little bit better because not only is there a shootout, we start seeing some zombie shit happen that's actually pretty creepy looking. And we get to see actually some scary bits and some stuff happens. And this whole time, this whole climax, I'm wondering, where's that fucking amulet that you got? Isn't that the thing that's supposed to ward off against evil? We never see it again. It's never used against all these zombies and shit they're running at her. Use that amulet. Where'd it go? Did you lose it? In the very end, she's all alone against this ancient Moloch, evil spirit god that can summon zombies. This movie could have been shown on television. There's absolutely no nudity. Very little gore, if any. There's maybe one or two scenes that are pretty horrifying, like the zombies. There you go. That's Gates of Hell 2. If anybody who watches this wants to have this copy or just to borrow it, I'll send it to you for free. I think more people should see it. It was genuinely fun, really stupid, and worth watching. Thank you for watching.
There's a cat in your freezer.